they've got two pretty solid edges, and a lot of their statistical stuff may come from the fact that they're on the field quite a bit. But
Mhm.
Brennan Jackson, Ron Stone Jr., the thing with them is that they've struggled against good tackles. Their best games where they've racked up a lot of stats are against some pretty porous offensive lines. So we'll see about how they kind of play against a tandem like Roger and Troy. Like that's going to be a huge challenge for them, and I don't see them having a ton of success. That
Dude,
said,
every time we've faced like a tandem of like good edges, Utah with Ellis and the other kid, with Chandler, I think his name was from Oregon State, and the other edge. I mean, it's like, dude, the bookend tackles of Troy and Roger have
so
literally just said, "Bring it on,
go ahead,
fellas."
whoever it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
doesn't
bring it on.
matter. Oh, come
And
on.
dude, they
UW being able to walk out of this one with a victory. I mean, a lot of people are going to be picking us. I think we're 15.5-point favorites going into the game. What do you see? What do you see us needing to do to get out of? We're playing in Seattle this year, so what do we do? What do you see us needing to come home with a victory?
Yeah, man, the keys of the game. I kind of did three quick keys to the game. Get off
Mhm.
the field. Get off the field on third down. In all six of Wazoo's losses, they're converting at like a 28% clip on third down. So whatever those teams are doing, they're very successful to get Wazoo off the field. That's 128 or 133 if you're converting at 28%. So it's a key statistics for me. The other one is score fast and score early. Dude, it's going to be 80% Huskies, in the stadium on Saturday. But dude, you don't want to give them any more confidence than they need. Score fast, score early, get run on top of them quick, go up 10-0, go up 14-0, and shut the door, quick. And then the other thing is, I want to be able to shut down the run, their run, just with our front four.
Mhm.
This has a lot. When Dicker came in, and Leach was done, and the whole air raid philosophy, I kind of thought that they would go away from that, like, just peppering the ball all over the field. But man, it might be even worse than some of the air raid years of Mike Leach when it comes to their running. Dude, they've only had two games. Like their two biggest rushing games from a single player are 71 yards versus Northern Colorado and 46 total yards for CU last week.
Oh wow!
I mean, dude, they're like, I don't want to take shots, but man, their running game is anemic. And it's just, so that's my third key, is just being able to shut down the run with our front four. So
Okay.
get off the field on third down, score fast and early, and shut the run down with our front four.
Completely. I think you hit it right on the head, especially the score fast and early, because I think that's when we're at our best. Izzo, what do you think?
Yeah, those are perfect. I think the only other thing that I really want to see is that we clean up the penalties here in this game. We take this opportunity against a lesser opponent to do so. And to piggyback on what you're saying about jumping out early, what it seems like is a kind of a weakness on defense for Wazoo is the interior defensive line. And maybe there's some argument there that they have a couple guys, but in reality, against our interior offensive line, we should be able to just push those guys around. We've played better interior defensive linemen than what they have to offer in this game. So if you jump up early, I want to see it just regardless of who it is, Tybo, Will Nixon, Sam Adams, hopefully prayers that Dylan Johnson is healthy, but I want to see us just run it right down their throat, man. Get to the second level, third level, get a big play broken out from a run inside the tackles. And so, that's kind of what I want to see from this is the way that we can fumble this game around and have it be close and have it be the 8th or 9th close game again is if we shoot ourselves in the foot with penalties and turnovers, man. So just play clean.
Man, and there's nothing that's hard. Like I wanted to rip my hair out watching some of those penalties. So I agree with you totally on that. I think for me, what you said about running the ball, I think that's huge. Our offensive line is playing so well and pushing guys around. I think if we can get up and start pushing them around and run the ball down their throat, I think that's going to be huge. And it's going to allow Penix to have those huge plays over the top. My other key to the game is keeping Cam Ward contained, making sure that he's not throwing the ball where he wants it. He doesn't have time, that he's got all those pass rushers in his face constantly, because I think that's going to be that is the only offense they have. You shut him down, they're shut down, and they're not going to do anything. So,
hey, Mike, real quick on that, on Izzo's points, being able to run the ball, dude. If you guys remember the year that we played, it was 2018, and that's when they were really good. I think they were like number 7, number 8 in the country, and we played. I'm pretty sure the game was in Pullman. If you remember that game, how did we like exert our will against them? Was running the freaking ball.
Gaskin.
Dude, Gaskin went off. I think he was like 27 for 170 or something. 3 touchdowns.
I ain't never lost to no Coug.
That's right, baby. That's right. I mean, and so, dude, that's such a great point. I mean, there's nothing worse than like being like, okay, we're gonna get in this game. Okay, we're gonna be ready to go. And then here comes the freaking bowling ball and Dylan Johnson. Here comes lightning and ice with Nixon and Tybo. It's like, dude, it's nothing worse. They'll just take their soul out of the game if you can just run it down their freaking throat.
Yeah. Do we know if I know Dylan Johnson was walking around in a walking boot? Do we know? I thought I heard KDB say he thinks DJ should be able to play. He's confident in DJ being able to play this weekend. Am I right?
I think if he does play, the way that he will be used, if the game goes according to plan, is that he'll be on a pitch count. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that we kind of spell him more often than not, because regardless of whether or not he's going to be able to play, I think you could confidently say he's not going to be at 100%. So we need him down the stretch. You don't need him to win this game. So let's approach it in that way. If we go up by 14, yank DJ. But I think KDB said he's confident, but if the press conferences and what he said about injuries and what our staff said about injuries is any indication, we don't know 100%. We can't really listen to them and know 100% that that's how it's going to go. I would give it a 50-50 shot. So
let me ask you this then real quick, Izzo. If he can't go, who's our other power back? Because both Tybo and Nixon are pretty good. They're slashers. Who would you say is our other power back? Because we have Newton, but I heard that Newton's been hurt all year. At least that's what Grubb said today.
I think you'll see him. I don't know if they're going to view it in that light, where they're going to be like, here's the power guy, here's not the power guy. But I think Will Nixon, and it'll be a mix of Will Nixon and Tybo for most of the carries, and then you'll see Sam Adams come in. But I think if you had to say that this is the power guy, I mean, maybe I haven't watched enough of Sam Adams to know that he keeps his shoulders low enough, because I know that early on in his career, that was kind of maybe the thing that he could improve. But I would think that his size, based purely off his size, that you would say he is quote unquote the power guy. But I don't think they're going to dictate playing time based off of whose power.
Hey, give me Dick. I mean, if Dick Newton's healthy, ready to go, man.
Yeah, this would be a great game.
Yeah, I mean, if you need 2-3 yards, like, dude, he is an absolute dog. I mean, we've talked about it. It's. I mean, if he's injured, that's news to me, because he's been on special teams all year.
I've seen him too. That's what I've been trying to wonder. Is because, like, before we really saw DJ run the way that DJ's ran, I thought he was going to get a lot of carries, because every time he's gotten the ball in his hands in the last 3-4 years, he makes something happen. He hits the hole like a bat out of hell, and he hits it hard. And so I'd love to see him get some carries. Yeah, I would love to see him get some carries. All right, let's talk about how Wazoo's offense is going to have. What are they going to have to do to try to face off against the UW defense? Because on paper, it really seems like a mismatch across the board. No, I'll start with you on this one. How do you see this playing out with Wazoo's offense versus our defense?
Yeah, when I started looking into this game, I really the stat that kind of jumped off the paper to me was Cam Ward's been sacked 34 times. And so I think they're going to really want to protect Cam Ward from our edges. This is where it gets kind of interesting, though. So is the 34 sacks like a direct correlation of the offensive line play, or is it a direct correlation of Cam Ward holding on the ball too long because his receivers have like struggled to separate, or he's just trying to be that playmaker that he is? So I think Cam Ward, I truly, truly believe this. Cam Ward's the only way we lose this game on Saturday. He is their pulse. He is their playmaker. So they are going to do anything and everything they can do to keep Cam Ward clean and allow him to be that playmaker that he is.
Okay.
Their offense seems to be, it's like Victor, Kelly, and Cam Ward. And to piggyback off what you're saying, I think a lot of it does have to do with that offensive line, because if you guys watched that Colorado game last week, or if you've watched Wazoo a lot this year, especially Victor, you can see it. He is special. And so I don't, it could be
he's another Tacoma boy, man.
Yeah, man, I'd love to see him look to the portal, but we're pretty stacked at receiver, to be honest. So I don't know, but yeah, man, I think Cam has the ability to extend plays, and this could be a game where we see a good amount of Sakai and holding down those edges and keeping contained, like Mike had said, is a big point for this game. Their offensive line is really not good. It's just not. They've gotten pushed around by good defensive lines, and will be one of the better defensive lines that they've played, assuming guys are relatively healthy. So their running backs, 5 touchdowns total on the year. They have 8 that are Cam Ward alone, and he has 22 passing touchdowns. So yeah, it's weird because when you watch Watson, he's decent. He's nimble. He can make guys miss, but they just cannot get a hole open for the kid. And so they're really one-dimensional with Cam. If you can isolate Cam and get him uncomfortable and put pressures on him, then I think we have our way with this offense.
So we should expect to see a lot of that Zoom package. Is that what you called it, Noah? Where you see the edges all rushing, or you see the edges all in playing the defensive line?
Yeah, I think you could definitely see. I call it like the Zoom package or like the NASCAR package. I mean, I don't know what the dogs call it, but that's kind of, those are fun names, and it kind of fits the trait of those guys. That's actually a good call though, Mike. I think you might actually see that a lot more, because that's kind of one thing that we're seeing with Washington State is, they're not like run first down, run second down, pass third down. They're like pass first down, pass second down, pass third down. So I think you might see a very healthy mix of a Zoom package, NASCAR package type, as being maybe not our base, but something you could see an uptick in this game for sure.
Probably see a lot of Voy playing inside, maybe some of the bigger edges getting more of a chance to hold it down. I don't know how stout their offensive line is. I know they've given up a lot of sacks. I'm just talking more size-wise, though, compared to our guys. We have some big edges. So if you take both Zion and Trice, and Sakai, they're big guys. They could slide inside and still be pretty effective as defensive tackles, even if they decide to run the ball. Yeah, I think you guys are right. They're pretty one-dimensional. So the big thing that we're going to have to see with our defense is, hey, contain what they do best. Make sure those 2 receivers don't have their way. Because I saw Kelly really destroy Oregon State when they beat Oregon State earlier this year. He had a couple great catches. Same thing with who was Victor. It the other game? Victor, thank you. The receivers can play. They definitely can play.
Yeah, Kyle, their Z's pretty good too. That Kyle Williams kid. With the way they play in that air raid style, they're going to attract some, good receivers, and they're going to have some gaudy numbers. That's just the truth. I think when I looked earlier, they got, their stats for like their players are pretty crazy. They got like 70 catches, 50 catches, 50 catches. They have a lot of guys that get the ball. So it's nothing that crazy to see. Like, they have some talented wide receivers.
Hold them to field goals, because they struggle in the red zone.
Yep,
that's real. And you're definitely right. Like, when you're looking at what they've done stat wise, Kelly's got 7 touchdowns, 4 for Victor. Williams has 5. They all have over 750 yards as far as all 3 of them go. So they do have guys that can stretch the field, but I don't know how long they're going to be able to do that with our rush. So let's flip to the other way. How do you see WSU's defense attacking our offense? Izzo, I'm going to start with you on this one.
So this is another poor tackling team. And I expect us to come back home in a game. I think the weather's, I think around kickoff, it'll be like 45-ish degrees. It's supposed to be clear. We should be able to run up the score on these guys and hopefully, like we talked about, that's early, and then you just hand the ball off and kind of chunk away at the clock. But yeah, they've got two pretty solid edges, and a lot of their statistical stuff may come from the fact that they're on the field quite a bit. But Brennan Jackson, Ron Stone Jr., the thing with them is that they've struggled against good tackles. Their best games where they've racked up a lot of stats are against some pretty porous offensive lines. So we'll see about how they kind of play against a tandem like Roger and Troy. Like, that's going to be a huge challenge for them, and I don't see them having a ton of success. That said,
every time we've faced like a tandem of like good edges, Utah with Ellis and the other kid, with Chandler, I think his name was, from Oregon State, and the other edge. I mean, it's like, dude, the bookend tackles of Troy and Roger have literally just said, bring it on.
Go ahead, whoever it is. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Oh, come on.
And dude, they've been dynamite, man.
Yeah, rock solid. I mean, so they've got those two guys. They've got two decent linebackers. They have Erling and Aluda, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. Couple good DBs, Chow Smith Wade and Jaden Hicks. Although I think Smith Wade has been out since, I believe, week 8, and I think he's listed as questionable for this game. So we'll see if he plays. Regardless, though, we overmatch this team in pretty much all aspects of offense versus defense. So you can get creative. And like I said, I think a big thing for me is, well, I haven't said this yet, but I'm going to say it now. I want to see us healthy. I want guys getting pulled out of this game. I don't, where we talked about we want to run it up on a squad and just obliterate a team. I think I speak for Husky Nation when I say I would sacrifice the 7 points on a spread for health from our offense, and especially on the offensive line. So let's get out of this game healthy. And the only other thing they lack strong interior I made this point, but they don't have stalwarts that scare you in the middle of that defensive line. Go right at them. Let's take the game out of their hands.
Okay. Noah?
Yeah, I think kind of what, especially after last game, and I think you kind of seen, what Rome has been doing. I think they just gotta say, dude, we gotta see if these other guys besides Rome can beat us. And I think so. In turn, I think you'll see kind of like that cloud coverage I was talking about. They'll try to bracket Rome, and they're just gonna. I really just think their defensive coordinator is gonna say, we can't let number 1 beat us. So I guess we're gonna have to go to 2, and we're gonna have to go to 11 and see what those guys can do. And I mean, if that was me, it's kind of like in basketball, right? They got a stud on the other side. It's like, dude, okay, let's box and one him, and we'll just be like, hey, he ain't gonna beat us. We'll see if the other 4 can. I think that's the mentality they have to have. And then the other thing is, they haven't been good at forcing turnovers. I think they've only recovered 7, fumbles on the year and had 7 interceptions. A little bit kind of reminds me of our, team last year. I think they're just going to have to bring enough guys to force pressure to see if they can get, Mike Penix to have a couple turnovers. Because there's 2 things I see. They got to shut down Rome, and they got to somehow force turnovers. And if they can't do that, it's going to be a long day on Montlake for them.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, man, I'll be honest with you. I think this is a get-right game for the offense after a tough game against Oregon State. I think you're going to see Polk and McMillan, because we're going to really need those guys to step up against Oregon. And, what was a little concerning for me on Saturday, if you looked at Jalen McMillan and Jalen Polk in the face after those drops in that game, they didn't have that dog mentality. You could see fear in their eyes for the first time since I've watched them play. And I want them to get their feet back under them. I want to see the offense go off on these guys, have everybody sitting by the middle of the third quarter, because we've already thrown 4 or 5 touchdown passes and the running game is killing it. Maybe has another touchdown or two for whoever the starting tailback is, and get them guys some confidence, because when we go into the Pac-12 championship, whether it's Arizona or Oregon that we're going to see there, we're going to need to be hitting on all eights. And we haven't played our perfect game yet. If you notice that, like, we had some really good games at the beginning of the season where the offense was completely on point, but the defense was a little, I think we're primed to have our perfect games in the games that in the places where we need them. Pac-12 championship, bowl game, or college football playoff games. And if that happens, I don't think there's a team in America that can sit with us. I think it all starts with getting the confidence back for those two receivers that, like I said, they were a little shaken up after last week's game. Like I said, I felt really bad for Polk watching. He doesn't drop balls, and to see him drop 4 was hard to watch.
He don't have 4 drop balls on the year.
Yeah, he's like a short-handed.
4 drop balls in like 2 drives. And dude, I hear that, Mike, and I think that's a very valid point. Dude, I don't have any worries about Polk or J-Mac dropping balls normally. It might just be good that J-Mac got out there and got lit up a couple times. Maybe had some roughs, because what we've heard about J-Mac is his leg and his knee's structurally sound, and it's fine. It's just a little bit of like getting the confidence in them and the mentals back to being that elite top 7, top 8 wide receiver in the country again.
Well, and I mean, when you saw the first 3 or 4 games of the year, he looked better than Rome did. He was, he was the leader of that room. And that's why when I talk about getting their confidence, I think this is a perfect get right game, and let him get that confidence, because we need him to be a dog when we're playing whoever it is that we see in the Pac-12 championship. All right. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about with Wazoo, or should we move on?
The only thing I'll say, man, is like we kind of hit on the jump, man. It's good to see the rivalry renewed. This game means a lot to a lot of people, man. I mean, you go down, there's water everywhere, in the Pacific Northwest, man, and you go down some of these cuts, you see docks that are split down the cuts, house divided. You see the people, flying the flags, and we know Oregon has become this like really hated rivalry. But dude, a lot of old time dogs, man. Dude, this game means a lot to them too. So it's really cool to see the rivalry continue, and I'm excited that it's still going to be here for years to come.
Hell yeah! I mean, like I said, you don't ever want to see your rival win, but you also don't want to see your rival go away.
That's part of. You don't want to see a program get decimated and then not have their biggest game. This is the biggest game for them every year, So you don't want to see that get stripped from a fan base.
I just want to thank all you guys that have been tuning in. Make sure you guys hit the like, subscribe, leave comments. That's how you support the page. Also, the link for the Discord is in the bio. Every bit of information, whether it's recruiting, whether it's who's hurt, whether it's who are we looking at, coaching news, all that comes out first in the Discord. It's free to join, but for $8 a month, literally you can get everything on what's happening in both football and basketball. I'm Mike Flunt. I got my guy Izzo and my guy Noah with me. We are the Dubbed Up Boys. We'll see you guys next week.